Welcome to Krav Maga Global online training class. My name is Rune. I'm from Krav Maga Global International and Krav Maga Global Norway. The goal of these training sessions is to give you a tool where you can practice by yourself at home or with a training partner at home in times where you cannot come to a regular class. Now, for self-defense purposes, it's vital that we train with a partner. We understand that. We need the aliveness, we need the aggression of a partner, we need someone that is attacking you. But at some point in life, you cannot come to a class. That's why we have these classes. This will work on basic skills like rhetorical skills. It will work on your recognition of attacks. It will work on sort of combinations that we can be doing. And if you look at the way we usually teach Krav Maga, we always start with a basic introduction to a subject. That way we explain the problem, be it an attack with a punch or a grab or something. We explain the solution, and then we start working on your rhetorical skills. And that part will always be with dry drilling first and then with the partner. So what we're going to emphasize is a lot of the dry drilling aspects here. What's good is we have time now to develop some skills so that when you go back in class, you will have a much better level performing your techniques. So over the next classes, we are going to be working on some basic skills when it comes to punching, also defending, footwork, body mechanics. We are going to look at some basic things that we know have to be there to become a more advanced practitioner also. You can and should review these videos several times. Pause, review what we just did, maybe do it again. I will at times give you an assignment to do a certain amount of techniques 3 times in a row, for instance. So then just put pause or you rewind and you do it again. That way, we know that you have time to practice the techniques. And you can do this in the whatever speed you want to do. If you want to practice 5 times a week, you can do that. If you need to practice 6 times, 7 times, or if you only have time to practice 1 time a week, everything is better than nothing. The classes will include technical aspects, it will include physical aspects, we will do some strength work, some stretching, and we do the warm-up in the beginning, of course. Eventually we'll also talk about some of the mental aspects. So now we are ready to start the class. Okay, let's do some warm-up drills. So first, just start circles with your arms. Opposite direction. Now, in whatever place you have available, we'll start moving a little bit back and forth. Then, again, whatever space you have available, let's move sideways. Then we make a square, so we run forward, sideways, backwards, sideways. Okay, then we move into the fighting stance. Reminding you again, fighting stance, your strong leg is back, forward leg, about shoulder width. In the distance, we'll talk more about this. And just start moving a little bit in your fighting stance. Then we start adding some punches. We throw in some knees, show different directions. Use some uppercuts, hooks, hammer punches. Good. I'm not going to do it too long. If you're cold, you need to work it a little bit more, then just continue with the shadow sparring a little bit more. You can add in some different movements of defending, 360 and attacking at the same time. Using some inside defenses. And you can add some more stuff if you want. Now, start breaking the circles with the shoulders again, but this time make them bigger. So using full range of motion. Okay, we can be in this position, one hand up, one hand is down, turning, looking at the up hand. Just working a little bit, mobility drills into the shoulders. Now, neck, half a circle to the front. More of a static stretch to the side, not too much. Try to reserve the static stretching more towards the end of the training. It's a little bit more dynamic in the beginning. Okay, now moving more with the hips. Should allow the arms to just move freely. Okay, then from this position, make some circles with the hips. So now the legs stay more or less in the same spot. The hips are making big movements. Reverse the direction. Okay, next, don't put weight on your hands, but just make circles with the knees. So they should be big circles so that you feel that your ankle is being stretched a little bit also. Opposite direction. Then we can make circles on the feet also. So basically you will be weight on the heels, on the outside, circle forward. Okay, let's move to some squats. So from this position here, you can be toes pointing forward, slightly outwards, that's up to you. Somewhere around hip shoulder width, also again, a little bit up to you and your flexibility. And we do, from this position, somewhere between 10 to 15 squats. You can do more if you want to. Just pause the video then. Then we can move to some push-ups and sit-ups. Now remember when we're doing push-ups, we want the angle of the elbows to be pointing backwards. So we're not doing push-ups this way because our strike is with the elbow down. That's why we want to strengthen this way. So in the beginning, we're just doing somewhere between 8 to 12 push-ups. However many you're doing, it's fine. Then we're moving to the sit-ups from here. Now in the sit-ups, we want to keep the hands in the front, like a fighting stance, and then come up. That's what we can work with as a basic sit-up. And here, we can work a little bit higher number, so somewhere in the 10 to 20 range. Okay, once you finish your sit-ups, we'll move to the next. Then the next exercise will be something that our more senior students know. That's the sprawl and the punch combination from here. So we do it very, very light. What we want to see is a position where we're doing some strikes, working on some basic strikes, and then every 3-4 strike, we're going to drop, do a sprawl, come up, back up again in a fighting stance from here. So we're going to spend 15-20 seconds getting the heart rate up a little bit from here. If you're new to this, what you do is basically you're working on some strike, put your hand, just kick back the leg a little bit, come back up again. Do not lower the hip to the ground yet. We need to work our way up to this exercise. So that will be moving, striking, sprawling, coming back up, moving again, sprawling, coming back up again. And that you will do for another 15-20 seconds, and that will be the finish of the warm-up. Okay, for the technical aspect of this class, we are going to be looking at footwork. More specifically, how to get out from the line of an attack. This is one of our most important principles in self-defense. And that is, if I'm in a line and somebody's punching me, kicking me, stabbing me, hitting me with a stick in a straightforward motion, I don't want to stay here, because I might miss my defense. And most of you will remember that we have the 200% defense principle, meaning my hand is making what's supposed to be 100% defense, but since it's reality, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We also do a body defense, which also should cover 100%, meaning if both are working perfectly, we have 200% defense. If one is almost working, it's not working correctly 100%, it's 70%, then the other will cover the slack and we'll still be able to defend ourselves. So we're going to be working on one specific principle here. Now, if this is a self-defense situation, this is an important principle. If it's a sparring situation, it's much more difficult to be able to do it. We understand that. So this is from the self-defense aspect of the training. If we are looking at our regular stance should be about shoulder width apart, both in the length and the width. Now, the actual defense, the actual stance, will differ from person to person. The length of your legs, the style of fighting that you have, the surface that you're on. If you're on a slippery surface, usually it will be a little bit wider. If you're more in a wrestling position because somebody's grabbing you in a headlock and you're trying to stabilize, you'll be a little bit more wider. If you need to move fast because you have more attackers and you want to move fast between them, usually it will be a little bit more narrow and an upright position. But the basic is still get that shoulder width apart and have that good position. So when we practice in the beginning, we'll start practicing from this position. So if you have 2 lines of tape on the floor, that's pretty good to work with. If you don't, if you only have 1 line, that's also good. So I can use the red, blue line as the marker, or I can have 2 sets of tape here. If you don't have tape to put on the floor, use the carpet. If you have a carpet, you can use the edge of the carpet. The idea here is that when I do my body defense, I want to move both my legs off the line of an attack. So if I have 1 line here representing the attack, that's the kick to the groin or the punch to the face, I want to make sure that the full body is out from that. That's why if I have 2 lines on the floor here, what I want to make sure is that the forward leg is moving out from its individual line. That way I'm sure that I'm moving the whole body out. Usually what happens when we're doing this in testing and stuff, back leg is the one that's missing. You're moving fast and then the back leg is not moving out properly. In a punch defense, not so dangerous because your head's supposed to move. If somebody's kicking you in the groin and your leg stays here, it's a problem. So what I want to practice in the beginning is from the fighting stance, just moving out. From here. If I'm in a passive stance, obviously I can go to both sides. Doesn't make much difference in the technique. But I'm always moving the leg that's in the direction first. Okay? I'm not moving this. It makes no sense. It's not a good position to be in. So it's always the leg that's in the direction that's moving first. If I'm in a fighting stance and I need to move to the side where the back leg is, it will still be this leg moving. It will just have to be a bigger motion. And I would like the back leg to be further away from the line than the forward leg, so I'm creating a 45-degree angle. Meaning, if I do step with the back leg, it's quite a big movement from here. So what we want you to do now is pause the video for a couple of minutes, make some kind of line, and work on this. Check yourself. Be moving. If you're moving on the line, move a little bit forward, then move off. And then check yourself. Did I move my leg in the correct position? Okay? This needs to be an automated response. Okay? That's what's difficult for people in the beginning. You should automatically move the leg away when something happens. Once you have that, once the legs are moving by themselves, it's much easier to do the proper technique. Okay, let's look at some basic techniques. The first thing that we're going to review is defending a straight punch with an inside defense. This is P1 material, 1.5 rhythm. So I'll be in the defensive stance, Patrick will be the attacker. Okay, let's do this one slow. Let's look at the dry drill now. So now that you've covered the leg and how the leg is moving, let's just address the hands. Just a quick reminder, and again, we're not doing the dry drill the way we would teach it if it was the first lesson, because we're not teaching you this as your first lesson. This is a repetition so that you can work on the skills. If you haven't learned this yet, definitely you should wait until you're back in class to have your instructor properly teach it to you. Okay, but now reminding you, the hand defense. My hands should be in an open position. We are not in this position. We want a potential strike to come between the hands because it's much easier to defend that way than to defend from this position or something here. So that's our starting position from here. Now my defense is with the fleshy side of the hand, the part here, the muscle, is going to defend diagonally forward across. So I'm moving the hand forward to the opposite shoulder. So there's the line of the opposite shoulder. There's no point in doing it too far forward. So it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Diagonally forward the whole time. And returning back in a straight line. Then we add the head going in the opposite direction. And then finally, we can add the last part, which is the legs. So now, the hand will make its defense. The head will start the body defense, because again, we're talking about a punch to the face. So I want to move the target away from where the attack is coming. If it's a kick to the groin, I want to move the groin away from here. So now it's hand, and then the body, here, and then the leg. So everything will start at once, but obviously the hand is much faster than the whole body. The whole body, or the upper part of the body, is faster than taking the step. So that's why we say hand, body, leg. But we do start everything at the same time, obviously. So from this position, it's going to be defending, moving away. Defending, moving away. And then obviously, the counterattack. From here. Okay, now spend another couple of minutes practicing the dry drill on the line by yourself. Good. Now that we've done the dry drill, comes the actual practice with a partner. If you have a partner at home, somebody who's training with you, or if you can get your better half or someone to be an attacker, that's an excellent tool. Okay? Now, if you don't, I will be your attacker for now. Meaning you'll have to visualize yourself doing the defense against my attacks, but I'm going to be throwing right punches, left punches at you. You're going to be trying to defend them and then move away. I'm going to give you time to move, but you should move back pretty fast. You will see the speed eventually. You're trying to defend on the outside of my hand, so if I am attacking with this, you need to move to that side. If you make a mistake and go on the inside or on the live side, that's perfectly okay. Those of you who are P2 or are training for your P2, you know that you have this sweeping defense against this one. For now, just try to go on the correct side from here. I'm not going to go left, right, because that's going to be too easy for you. I'm going to throw you a curveball every now and then to see if you can pay attention to it. Okay, so let's go. You'll be in a fighting stance. I'm going to be moving. Get back in time. Did I get you there? Ah, what about there? I'll continue, I'll change my behavior a little bit, but you should still do the same. So instead of me being in a fighting stance, now I'll be talking to you, okay? So now you have to be able to defend, boom, when the attack comes. A little bit more, you're maybe not so much prepared because the attacker is not showing the correct angle, but still, you have to be able to defend whenever the attack arises, okay? So you... Okay, good. That's the practice for now. If you want to rewind this and do this for a few more minutes, let's do that. Okay, good. Now let's look at another technique. The next that we are going to look at and revise is the defense against a kick to the groin, straight kick to the groin, also P1 level curriculum. And if you remember the technique, you understand that the principle of defense is the same as against the punch. So I'll be in a fighting stance, or I can be in a passing stance. Patrick will be attacking. A little bit slower. Okay, now let's review the dry drilling part of this technique. Now we'll look at defending the kick to the groin. Now, when I'm being kicked in the groin, I need to move the groin away. So when he was punching me in the face, I was moving the head. Now he's punching me in the groin, kicking me in the groin, I'm going to move the groin away as much as possible. But I'm also defending. So instead of using the hand to make an inside defense, now we're using the leg to make the same inside defense. Practically, this means that your body movements is going to be a little bit slower because I have the capability of moving the hand and stepping at the same time. Unfortunately, I cannot move this leg and then step at the same time so good. So it will be a little bit slower, but the principle is still the same. So from this position, and when we're doing it, it's easier to work from the fighting stance in the beginning. So let's work from the fighting stance for now, and then later on you can practice from the passive stance from here. If I'm in a fighting stance, forward leg will defend both the left and the right attacker leg. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to start using the back leg to defend because that's practically moving the hip or the groin into the attack, making it easier for him to kick me in the groin. So from this position, the defense, like the hand, moving to the opposite shoulder, now moving to the opposite knee. The foot should be pointing about 45 degrees. So I'm hitting with the shin from here, and bam, and then I'm stepping out. So if I start on the lines here, as I'm making the defense, should go to the opposite line, and then I make a bigger step, stepping out from here. And then my counterattack will be as early as possible from this position. From here. And again, we don't use the back leg. So spend a few minutes dry drilling this on whatever markers you have on the floor. Good. So now we have hand defense and leg defense against a punch and a kick. Now all I do as the attacker, I'm going to start doing either a punch or a kick. You're going to have to identify the attack and make the appropriate solution. So again, for your ease, it's better for you to stay in a fighting stance. Meaning your forward leg, whichever leg you have forward, is going to be the one that's defending the whole time. Your hands can make defenses against the appropriate hand. That will mean that you'll have to step with a big step sometimes, a smaller step sometimes. Okay? So you be in a fighting stance, I'll be attacking, and then you make the appropriate defenses. Okay, good. If I was going a little bit too fast for you, you didn't have time to move all the time, that's fine. Try to do your best. Go back again, review the video again, work one more round, then we're going to finish up with some power drills. Now let's look at some push-up variations. We are going to do a push-up, narrow grip, coming up, giving a strike with a closed fist or open hand on the ground, doing another push-up from here, then coming up the next time, doing a hammer strike backwards with one hand, coming up, hammer strike with the other. So that's 4 push-ups, that's one combination. You could do them on your knees, obviously, as always. But don't go, that's not a strike. Your strike should be from the chin on the ground up again, from here. So, pause the video, do somewhere between 3 and 10 combinations. That's about 12 to 40 punches. With the sit-ups, training the core, which is important in striking and a lot of the exercises that we are doing, we're going to do very simple. It's going to be sitting up, doing 2 hammer strikes every time. And when we do that, I want there to be a rotation when we're doing this. So don't go bam, bam. Make sure you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll show some more variations later on this, but in the beginning these are quite simple. Let's do anywhere from 10 to 30 repetitions. Let's do some squats for some power in the legs also. Now, if you know how to do a front kick and a side kick, you can incorporate this into the exercise the way I'm going to present it. If not, just do regular squats. So what we're doing is, again, we're finding that good position. We're coming down. As we're coming up, we're going to kick a front kick with one leg. Coming up, kicking a front kick with the other leg. coming out, we're going to side kick with one leg and then side kick with the other leg. So it's going to be front kick, side kick every time we come up. Meaning 4 kicks is one combination. And you can try to go anywhere from 5 to 10 combinations. More if you want to, obviously. Okay, let's stretch the back side of your hamstrings. So whenever we're sitting and with the bent leg, hamstrings are getting shorter. So we need to stretch them to be able to make good kicks and everything. So the exercise we do in the beginning is one leg is bent, the other leg is straight, and we're just sliding down from here. Now the stretch would be on the straight leg from here. If you can grab your shin, that's fine. If you can grab your ankle, that's good. If you can grab your toes, that's good. The more down you go, the better it is because you have better flexibility. But the idea here is still to hold and feel the pressure on the back. You count slowly to 30 on one side, switch to the other side. Again, do 30 on this side. Do that 2 times. That's 1 minute on each of the legs. Okay, next is going to be the front, the hip. So we're going to go in a position where front leg is with the knee over the ankle and the back leg is here. You should feel the stretch on the front of your hip, maybe even on the thigh a little bit from here. Now what we can add from this position is to grab the hands and take them overhead from here. You're going to hold this position for about 30 seconds, and we're going to switch and do the other side for another 30 seconds. Good. The last stretch that we're going to do for 1 full minute is from a position on the ground. Your hip is over your knees from here. You're going to walk your hands out. And you're going to sink down. You try to put the head, the chin, or even the armpits down on the ground from here. The stretch should be in the upper part of your back, not so much in the lower part of the back from here. Make sure you don't sit back from here and that you're not falling forward. Stay in this position. If there are pain in the shoulder from this position, go a little bit wider with your hands. Feel maybe it's more comfortable for you to be a little bit wider in the hands as we're doing this. It shouldn't be pain involved. You should feel the stretch in your upper part of your back. So that's 1 minute of this exercise. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me for this online class. Make sure that you are doing the basic stuff that we were covering here. Review the training again. Make it a few times a week if you want to. And in a few days, we'll see you for another class.